to another episode of VCTV. It's Monday. What does that mean? We're talking gaming, esports, and entertainment. Kicking off your week with something exciting versus the Monday blues. So get ready. Here we go. As we do here on every episode of VCTV, we like to break down what's happening in different industries, markets, technologies, and regions around the world, how these all come together, where the opportunities are, where are the trends, so that you as investors and as entrepreneurs can be successful in your journey, whether you're looking to make investments in these specific areas, or you're an entrepreneur looking to build or make new decisions on where to go with your company and within the industry. That's what we're here for, and that's where we bring some of the biggest names and minds from around the world to share their insights and their knowledge and their feedback with each and every one of you. So, audience, thank you for joining in. At any point today, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. We'll try to do our best to ask the questions in real time. If not, we're all available about 24/7 online. You can reach out. We'd love to hear from you. If you're a company or a startup and you would like to be on the show, feel free to reach out. We host an episode multiple times a week with startup founders. Would love to have you on those shows, share what you're doing, and also pitch us as investors what you're building. If you're an investor, want to join us, share your insight and knowledge, same thing. Reach out to myself or Elena or to the entire LA Token team, and we'd love to have you on here. And also, big shout out to Elena and to the entire LA Token team for helping bring VCTV possible to your screen, wherever you may be, whatever device you may be watching on, anywhere in the world. Now, with that being said, our topic today, entertainment, gaming, and esports, something that's very dear to my heart, but also to each and every one of our investors, and something we're very excited about here at VCTV. If you don't know a lot about this space, I want to read off just a few fun facts, specifically around gaming and entertainment and how these things have started to cross. Nintendo Switches. Back in December, holiday season, you could get a Nintendo Switch just about anywhere. Guess what? Holiday season is over. Nintendo Switches are sold out in many places around the world. One of the highest selling, fastest selling video game consoles to date in this past decade, as they have continued to sell out due to the pandemic and the shelter in place. But what's happening going forward? Well, we've got Sony and Microsoft coming out with their latest consoles. We've got Fortnite, one of the biggest games being talked about today, and one of the biggest esports franchises, or coming to be franchises, is now throwing virtual conferences or concerts, mixing the experiences. So no longer is this just about gaming, no longer is this just about social, it's also about entertainment. It's also about experiences. And according to Newzoo, a company that focuses a lot about the research and innovation that's happening in esports and gaming, the global games market right now in 2020 is estimated to generate revenues of 160 billion with a capital B in 2020. That's almost a 10% year over year growth from last year in 2019. We're only halfway through this year. Let's see what else is going to be happening. Let's dive in. Let's welcome each and every one of our guests. Again, I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. Happy to have each and every one of you here as our audience. Lena, VCTV. Let's kick this off. Investors, welcome. Patrick, if you can, a little introduction, a little background on yourself, and we'll go around and make sure everyone else gets the same.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, LA Token. Very happy to be here. I'm Patrick Sang. I'm based out of Hong Kong and London. I run a family office called Sang's Group. We make sector and location agnostic investments, predominantly like tech related. We're very opportunistic. Entertainment and media, we've done a lot of investments, and also AI, blockchain, a lot of different things. Esports is definitely a area what we look at, as Kyle said rightly. This year, 2020, that the market is huge, and it's much, I think it's like 3-4 times bigger than the box office, and about 3 times bigger than the music industry in terms of revenue. So very excited to be joining the rest of the panel.
Wonderful. We're happy to have you here as well, and excited to dive into your background, as I know we talked a little bit off camera of where you're based and traveling in the past. So being based in the Asia region, but also in Europe. I think you and I will have a lot to talk about as with the rest of the panelists, is what's happening specifically in the gaming sector. And if you haven't been paying attention to gaming in that area of the world, and specifically around Asia and Southeast Asia. Get ready, because we're going to dive a lot into it. I already see a few of our panelists shaking their heads as well. Eduardo, welcome back to the show. A very famous face here on VCTV and a lover of everything video games, probably has a controller in his hands right now. Eduardo, if you could, a little intro and background for everybody on in the audience today.
Hi, Kylie.
You're on
Hi.
mute.
Well, actually, I don't have the controller right now because I've had just bought and I have just received right now a new projector, which will allow me to play with my PS4 Pro with a 300 inches screen. So in next one, I will show it to you now. Basically, yeah, I've been here a couple of times before in these La Token meetings. Again, thanks so much for inviting me. Thanks to you, Kylie. Thanks, Elena, for all the support and the organization. Thanks also to all the participants here today, actually, and to the audience. Very happy to be here again. And yeah, basically my background, I'm an investor. I'm also a gamer, actually. I run the European, the EMEA, actually, operations of a large US family office. We invest in private equity, venture capital, hospitality sectors, fintech, blockchain, also gaming. So very, very happy to be here, actually, and I think it's going to be a great discussion today, actually.
Awesome. Absolutely excited to have you. Can't wait to hear more about the new projector at Council. Mike, welcome to the show for the first time. It's an honor to have you. If you can, following suit with everyone else, just a little bit of your background, a little introduction on kind of where you focus and what you look at as an investor.
Great. So I'm Mike Birkenbein. I'm CEO of Beckett Film Fund. We are a company that raises capital and then disseminates it to feature filmmakers that are that hire women and minorities. So I'm a market research and demographer by trade, and I discovered a metric that by placing women and minorities in writer and director roles and minorities on screen for independent films in a certain way actually generates 31% more revenue throughout the life cycle of feature film, meaning theatrical, if there is any, streaming, television, home entertainment, and that sort of thing.
Wow. Very exciting. And this is all in the entertainment space, so more around film. Are you guys doing anything in gaming right now as well, or just the broader picture of entertainment and film?
It works for television. I've statistically proven it for feature films, where it doesn't matter where it's being displayed. I haven't done the analysis on gaming yet, but you know, the general concept is that when people see someone like themselves on a screen, they're more likely to engage in that, whatever that entertainment vehicle is, and that generates more revenue. And so while lots of people talk about supporting, you know, underrepresented people in entertainment, I can actually statistically prove that you can make more money doing it. And so I think this is the linchpin to providing opportunity for these underrepresented people, because if you can't make money doing it, there may be a few people that invest in it here or there, but you're not going to get long-term equity being poured into those sorts of projects. But now people can do that.
Wow. Awesome. Excited to dive into that a little bit further and how you came about that. That's exciting. Welcome to the show as well. Pranava, apologies if I mispronounced that, but welcome to the show. A little introduction and background on yourself as well.
Hi, Kyle. Great to be back on VCTV. Thanks, Elena and the guys at LA Token for obviously having me here for the second time. Just a little context and a quick hello to Noble and Guy as well. Last time I was on with them as well. Hope you guys are doing well. I run a small family office and early stage incubator based out of Mumbai, India. The idea is that we invest and try and build products ground up. We're not a fund. We're trying to invest patient capital, looking at the right kind of individuals to back. I said this before and I say this again, we're unusually not in the business of looking for the next unicorn. We want to try and build a portfolio of sustainable investments. And strangely, we're a team of non-technologists who are trying to build techno commercial in an unusual Indian ecosystem. My entire exposure to the gaming ecosystem came from actually the first investment we made 6 years ago, about 5 years ago, actually 5.5 years ago. They were an AI chessboard. They built the world's first hardware, sort of an IoT device, which allowed them to build for the globe from India. And I actually sort of joined the team pseudo hands-on, and sort of got my hands dirty to understand how they can scale. And they were the first Indian consumer product to do about $500,000 of sales off of obviously Kickstarter, Indiegogo. They've been fortunately they've scaled over the last 4 years, and that sort of allowed us to look into whether it be sport, gaming, and the sort of entertainment ecosystem that built around it is a key area of focus for us. We have a portfolio of about 5 products and businesses that we work in sport, apart from running a second division football team in the state, and working a lot from a grassroots and building sports up from a grassroots level as well. So we're trying to build the divide and bridge the divide between the physical world and the digital world. And we're trying to sort of get our hands dirty on both sides of the fence.
Wow. So much more than you gave us last time. I like it. Thank you very much. Well, welcome back. And next up, my man, the brains behind digitization, the controller of the new electricity, the one and only Gary Fowler. Welcome back to the show. A little introduction and background for those that don't know.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kyle. So my name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 15 startups. I've had a successful IPO on NASDAQ, and my largest exit was a little over $1 billion. I was on the original management team of Click Software. So I love artificial intelligence. I'm particularly interested in emotional AI, developing those relationships, as Pranav said, and where we go with the future. So in fact, I just wrote an article on Zoom and the digital transformation, Kyle, just for you.
Mm-hmm. So sweet.
Just came out Saturday. Anyhow, I am building a fund, $100 million fund that is really to level the playing field. It's for bringing people that are underserved into technology, working primarily with the Black community. One of the board members of the NAACP is on my board, Lamel McMorris. So I've been passionate about this for years. And, I put my money where my mouth is with it. So now we're building a $100 million fund out of Chicago to exactly do that. And we created a fellows program for entrepreneurs to come in, get trained, and to be the next incredible CEOs of the companies. So doing that, I've been doing AI and technology for 35 plus years. So just love this stuff. So
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the show, and to our audience. I have actually had a chance to read Gary's episode that he dropped on Saturday. I will share it because it's well worthwhile. So in the comments after the show, I'll make sure to put that in there for everyone as well. Definitely worth checking out. Last but not least, by all means, the man who shoots well beyond the stars, but loves gaming and loves technology, unlike anyone else I've met thus far. Noble, welcome back to the show. Excited to have you. A little introduction and background on yourself as well.
Sure. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Elena. Thanks, LA Token and everybody. It's always fun to be with you guys and kind of talk these topics. It's important as investors to kind of look at this space and realize in the midst of all this that's happening with COVID-19, et cetera, that there's just opportunities abound, and it kind of gives us that ability to look forward. I've been 26 years in the investment industry, both as an author, capital raiser, brokerage owner, hedge fund operator. And for me, I've always been in gaming casually, but it was about 5 years ago when I had an idea to bring clothing to life utilizing augmented reality that we really took a deep dive into the whole entire gaming space. We made a huge investment in AR and clothes. We've had a couple of successful Kickstarters. Right now, we're about to license the characters for those games. And it's been very interesting watching the evolution of gaming. And we've been looking, particularly in our accelerator. I'm on the board of maccelerator.la. And we've been looking more at gaming as a vertical to invest in beyond what we've been doing in AR, but more in the gamification of the real world using an intersection of augmented reality and virtual reality. So our primary goal at Dracone Capital Partners is just to find unique and sustainable opportunities. And I think Patrick hit it on the head earlier today when you get on, that this is the largest entertainment vehicle around. Everything is starting to express interactive gaming, and it's not like it just happened yesterday. It's been a slow evolution over the last decade, but now, particularly with people being stuck at home, it's really the place to be. You know, the idea of interactive media for one flat price or subscription price is winning. So this is an exciting conversation. I'm happy to be here, and it's always fun to see you moderate, Kyle.
Thank you very much. And again, happy to have you all very much today. And I kind of want to just start off with each of you and setting the stage is kind of what's changed the last 6 to 12 months to really make gaming and entertainment core focus in our lives more than ever, right? As I mentioned on some of the stats before, we go back a year, consoles were available, gaming was there, eSports was there, but it still was in its early days. And what was going to happen, what wasn't going to happen, there was a little bit of a stigma of those who were going after that industry and unsure what would become. But yet at the same time, we're seeing tens of millions of dollars being thrown into it. More companies are starting to market to it. More people are starting to play these games. They're starting to compete competitively or non-competitively. All of a sudden things have changed. And it's not just because of the last 6 months and how we've been sheltered in place. Something else has happened. So what's been that catalyst? So I would love to hear from each of you. What have you seen change in the last 12 months and really set the stage of where things are for gaming, entertainment, and esports all around? And Patrick, I'll start with you. And again, we'll come around to make sure everyone gets a good opinion on this as well. So Patrick, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. I think I'd like to say a few things first. Number one is I think we've seen a lot of changes, especially the last 6 months, especially because of COVID-19. I mean, one of the things I want to highlight is I don't think anyone out there knows exactly when this will end. It will end at some point. I think we talked offline earlier. Is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years? No one knows the answer. And anyone who says they do, are just making it up, because we really don't know. Secondly, is that we've seen a number of big companies, whether they're in gaming or otherwise, that have gone under. For example, we've had a big retail demolition of all the shops. F&B has been hit hard, and we saw, I think, Hertz filed for Chapter 11. And I keep on giving this example of the board of directors of a company like Hertz, which is over 100 years old. It's on every city on the planet, and I'm sure that during Christmas dinner of all the board members, they never would have envisaged that 2 months down the line the company's not there anymore. So I don't think there are industries or specifically companies that have foreseen this black swan event. So I'm not here to say that myself or anyone else is able to see such a black swan event and is able to predict what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. I think what we have to do is, as any business being innovative, you have to see what's in front of you, sort of guess what the short, medium future is, and just adapt to whatever it is and do the best that you can. And the example that Kyle gave earlier of the Switch, I mean, I don't really play games that much. I like the industry because it's such a massive industry and it's just growing, 10-15% YOY. But in terms of the Switch, it's because of the circumstances and the environment that has changed that has forced people to, well, not force is probably not the right word, but people are buying it because they're stuck at home. So things like entertainment, games, delivery in terms of food and so on have gone up and will continue to do so until this so-called vaccine or the environment changes. In terms of entertainment, we haven't made any new kinds of investments yet. We've just concentrated on our portfolio, which includes entertainment and some tech stuff. And there's one particular company I want to talk about very quickly. It's a company called Fubo TV, and essentially it's like the Netflix for sports streaming in North America and Spain. So US, Canada, and US. And when we first invested, the company was called Pulse Evolution Corporation, which was actually in digital humans. And then last year we merged it with a German listed company called Nextway. The market cap, we took it from 30 million to 300 million. And now Nextway has now merged with Fubo. And now the company is also like much bigger. And we have a plan to uplist to a bigger exchange on the US. So no matter what the circumstances are, you need to see a few steps ahead and try to merge it with other opportunistic opportunities. So entertainment, tech, blockchain is something that I like. I think a few of the other colleagues on the panel have said. AI is definitely something we look at, robotics, and also clean and biotech. And obviously biotech is a big buzzword because of COVID-19. So I'm just describing more of a macro picture. Leave it to the next colleague.
Yeah, before we do, I want to bring you real quick to blockchain. We had a great conversation last week, I think on Thursday, it was here on VCTV, about the future of what's currently happening around fintech and blockchain. How do you see blockchain playing a role in the gaming industry, if you have thus far? I know there's a little bit of talk about it. You know, there's a lot of applications being built. One of the biggest use cases right now around decentralized applications is gaming. I think it's the biggest category. Decentralized finance is about to maybe pass that soon, but it's still the biggest. Outside of those, decentralized apps, so dApps, what else are you seeing blockchain play a role in the gaming sector?
Before I answer this question, I want to highlight something. I think we got interested in blockchain maybe like 3-4 years ago, and blockchain has always been something that's very. I think it should be the next revolution per se, but something that's hasn't really taken off somewhat is during this COVID period. I think there was a lot of commentators saying that, let's see, if there is a recession of some sort, people will not be investing in gold, oil, or whatever other asset class, and they would look at blockchain as an asset class to invest in. But COVID-19 happened, and Bitcoin and whatever cryptocurrency you're looking at hasn't really gone to the stages which a lot of people had predicted or guessed would happen. I'm still a firm believer that blockchain will change and add to a lot of industries, including logistics, insurance, fintech, finance, and of course gaming. I think it will add a lot of it because I think competitions, eSports, the money is getting bigger and bigger, and then essentially later on you're going to have people betting, wagering. You have team supports instead of people supporting like basketball or football teams. They're going to be, obviously this is happening as we speak, but once bigger monies come in, the blockchain will help to protect some of the stats of what's happening inside the game to stop people from cheating or overusing things. So the authentication aspect and functionality would be, I think, very useful for the gaming industry.
I think you're spot on, and just in the whole idea of a digital economy, which we're going to get to here in just a little bit, and the idea of rewards and digital assets and collectibles on a bigger scale, right? Not just the cryptocurrencies that we've talked about in the past, but I mean a much bigger picture than that. So thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate it. Eduardo, coming to you, same question. Setting that stage, where are we currently at with gaming as well from your standpoint, and entertainment as well?
Well, I think that honestly, I agree with the others. Basically, gaming has been a tremendous. I haven't seen actually a tremendous inflow of funds from all over the world, not only in Asia, but also in the US, also in Europe, where large, companies have been actively investing in eSports and gaming and entertainment. Particularly, yeah, of course, I mean, this COVID virus have increased the number of subscriptions in some other entertainment services, actually. And also blockchain and this particular technology has been having a significant impact also on gaming activities. In my personal opinion, we have seen a tremendous professionalization of the gaming industry, where many people has been able to make a lot of money on a yearly basis, and actually there are real jobs, actually. I mean, not only you have to be prepared for the tournaments, and also in order to be in front of the social media, which entitles a tremendous preparation. Also, significant, training time. Actually, in one of the previous seasons in which I participated, I said that I got a couple of friends working on eSports, and basically they have to train like around 12 hours a day. So, which is a massive amount of hours. So basically, it's a professional job, I would say. And also, blockchain have allowed also to simplify a number of processes, and also to make some investments much more safer in this particular case, and also to make money and retrieve that money from a pure digital world to the real one. So which in my opinion has been also a significant impact lately. So yeah, probably one of the best times to invest in this particular vertical and industry. And I mean, you said that right now the total global value of the gaming and entertainment industry has been tremendously increasing in over the past months, actually. And we probably are very, very optimistic for the future. So yeah, Nintendo, you mentioned the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo topped when looking at the stock market its let's say historical valuation. So and probably if you look at the different equity research analysts that are covering the company, they have price targets which are well above the current levels. So yeah, a tremendous opportunity to invest too.
Well, and look at something like Twitch, and I think Mike might touch on this as well. I mean, Twitch, most notably known for the gaming aspect, has started to diverse from gaming traditional, so video games and esports, to now getting into bigger picture entertainment, where for those who are tuning in here in the States and also internationally, the National Women's Soccer League here in the States actually had games that were exclusive to Twitch for international viewing. So if Patrick, who's based in Hong Kong, for instance, wanted to watch one of the games that was happening here in Chicago in the States, he was able to watch it through Twitch. And so there's a whole new area of streaming and monetization. And we've seen that with other niche sports, and we're starting to see it with the major leagues as they start to diverse in international markets. So to your point of subscribers, it's not just the Netflixes, it's not just the Hulus, it's not just the new services like Peacock from NBC and others that have launched and seen growth, but also these ones that we've seen once focused just on gaming start to move and shift in the broader picture of entertainment, because we all want to be entertained. So we need to open up those windows to new markets as well, which creates a good opportunity for audience growth as well. So
exactly, and it has been much more digital than ever. Yes. I mean, you mentioned also Sony and Microsoft. Sony actually PS5 will have, for the first time in the world, in the console history, it will have a pure digital version. So I mean, it's going to be a massive, change and shift in the industry.
Well, so and let's hope our the internet doesn't get capped, and all of a sudden we go back to 8-bit Nintendo. But nonetheless, Gary, I'm coming to you next, and kind of your thoughts of all of this as well. But also, as I did with Patrick, I would love to hear how AI is playing a role in all of this. We won't get into GPT-3 that everyone's talking about from OpenAI.
I was just going to say that.
But feel free to talk about it. I won't ask you specifically, but how are you seeing this, bigger picture of entertainment and gaming play out? But then where does AI play a role?
Well, I mean, look at the incredible statistics. So if you look just the latest statistics as of March, where there were 1.6 billion in sales, which is a 35% increase year over year. Look at the opportunity. Switch sales year over year were up 24%. Look, the other part is, look at Fox Sports, look at NBC. They've got a lot of dead time. And now they're starting to look at eSports. So we have an incredible opportunity to get out to that market now. And where does AI play a role? Because what we want is we want more personalized. We want a lot faster. We want a lot better multi-gamer play. We want better graphics. So AI absolutely will continue to play a role. And as this revenue keeps coming in spades, we have an opportunity to change. And think about it. I don't know who said Eduardo or Pranav, but we don't know when this COVID crisis is going to go down. So now's the time. It could be a year, it could be 6 months, who knows? But now's the time we're fundamentally changing the way people are interacting with one another.
Absolutely, and gaming is a great way to do it. You know, we talked about this on another VCTV episode around this topic and how social interactions were starting to switch. Like we went from the early days of the internet and just general, you know, IRC chats to AOL. We'll date all of ourselves. AOL instant messaging and emailing to, you know, social media, and now we're looking at gaming as another big push of that. As we move into a more virtual-based economy and world that we live in, and it sounds like science fiction, but it's not. I mean, we're here, and you know, you've got Discord, for instance, that is hugely dedicated, or was, and now is also diversing into gaming, where people are building these relationships through their passion, through their shared interest in a game or gaming in general, and it's very exciting to see at all ages, Baiju. You know, Patrick brought this up. We don't know how long this is going to last. And in looking towards the future, maybe it's part of our future that at all ages of our lives, we're building new relationships through gaming, just as we do any other habits. We all played games at some point in our life. We all had some ability to play online connections games before, you know, it was just single player. But nonetheless, we all built bonds around these things. And now we're seeing this next level, which you're spot on. And you throw, you know, GTP3 in there and it's just a whole new level.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we want relationships, right? So look at the gaming today. People are home, you know, they don't know what to do, and they're building relationships. So the gaming's creating that physical world relationship is now coming to the virtual world. So you asked me the question, Kyle, what's really important in artificial intelligence? And that personalization, that closeness, that companionship that we can build is critically important, because we all want that. And that article that you shared that I did on Zoom and the digital transformation, it's absolutely the same on gaming. It is changing everything. Let's develop deeper relationships with.
Spot on. Animal Crossing was named to be the new happy hour. Animal Crossing, a game for the Nintendo Switch, also sold out and is hard to get. This has become the new happy hour where generations of all ages are playing this and reconnecting and having fun. And Pranav, I want to come to you. I mean, what are you seeing? You're also based in India, which I do want to come to. But first, what are you seeing as the current state of things from your viewpoint, having made investments not only in gaming, but also in sports as well? And I know there's a lot happening in both. So I'd love to get your opinion.
So I think India is fairly unique from the point of view of traditional gaming metrics, or the ethos of traditional gaming don't necessarily apply to the larger element of society. The biggest chunk of gaming is hyper casual, right? Something that's just constantly repetitive. And I see it in my own family. One of the most downloaded games is called Ludo King, which is a simple game based on an old Indian sort of historical game called Pachisi, where it's a simple board game, which the idea is to get 4 tokens to the center of the board. But there's absolutely no other game in the country that has the kind of engagement and numbers that they do. And that's simply because India is about mobile gaming. Console gaming, PC gaming is yet to sort of see the evolution. Me growing up, I was a console gamer. I was a PC gamer. There were no mobile phones. I wasn't very good at it, but that's where I spent a lot of my time. And as a result of it, you sort of see what's happening on both ends, where there is a massive movement towards professional gamers. Today, a gamecaster can potentially make a decent income with the amount of sort of offline B2B tournaments and events that are happening too, which wasn't the case, I would say, even 12 months ago. And simultaneously, you have larger players like Fnatic, one of the oldest esports teams from London, have set up operations in India and are building ground up. I know the lead at Fnatic India. They've actually hired out an apartment where, again, all of these guys are living and basically, like Eduardo mentioned, are probably training more than 12 hours a day. 12 hours is probably the least that they're being made to put in. And the idea for them is to be able to take India and put it on, if not the global map, but at least the Southeast Asian map, which is, I still think, maybe 2 or 3 years away from a professional, high quality gaming. But again, hyper casual gaming is a whole different category in India, where honestly, every single individual you'll see walking on the road is a hyper casual gamer. And the last 6 months have brought those out to the front immensely, because people have had time. All of these games are free, and they're highly, highly addictive. So from 3 years ago, where the average gamer was looked at somebody who was wasting their time, to today, perhaps my parents saying that, hey, I may play Ludo King, but I'm not a gamer. I said, by the definition of who a gamer is and what you may fall under a particular category, but there's definitely a large market that's sort of beginning to be catered to. And there's a lot of, I mean, what's happened in India is there's a lot of Chinese money that's come in, sort of at the Series B, Series C stage, which has allowed a lot of Indian developers and game publishers to sort of do their thing. India has seen, I think from 2009 or 2010 to now, we've gone from having less than 15 game publishers and developers in India to close to about 100 now. For me, that's a huge shift from the product build side. And we also have companies. There's a company called So Strong, which we actually strangely we recently, in fact, between the last time we were on and now, we've recently committed to, where they're basically providing APIs. Because so Tencent and the larger gaming companies don't provide wrestling APIs for third-party sort of platforms to use. These guys have built a platform that allows real money gaming platforms in India to leverage that. Instead of going out and building a solution direct to the market, they built out a white label solution. They were very happy to do it. Incumbents in the Indian market who are absolutely killing it when it comes to offline gaming, online gaming events. And their idea was that let's try and do, in some ways, what Twitch tried to do from building even a viewer community that's extremely tight-knit. And I think for me, that's where the distinction lays, where there are very specialized plays that work really well. There are extremely, extremely simple plays where there's absolutely no detail to the game development that will work phenomenally. And at the same time, console gaming and PC gaming is starting to see a lot more money and a lot more interest, where the average 17-year-old can go and talk to their parents, which in India is a big thing. And I think most Asian countries will see that, where a 17-year-old, 18-year-old is going to the parents and being like, hey, listen, I'm actually signing up for this team. This is what's happening. This is how I'm going to learn. And parents are not against it. For me, that's a mentality shift. That's and that's something that all of us are sort of trying to see how it pans out. Engagement numbers, however, are just absolutely through the roof. Even the chess company that I told you about, the only challenge they faced, because they have their own hardware, was actually manufacturing, because they manufactured out of China. And they actually had inventory needed to fulfill, which landed in the US warehouse last week, which is basically going through that. But their engagement numbers have gone up close to 45%. Their customer acquisition cost has dropped from $100 to $25. Now, for me, those are shifts that are not going to be long term, but they definitely allow you to tide these waters and sort of make the right move.
Right. Well, and they could be long term too. I mean, we talked about it on our previous episode. This could be one of the biggest, in my opinion. I am incredibly bullish on this. I think it's the biggest marketing opportunity that we've seen in possibly the past 20 years, and will be going forward for the next decade. If you're any company that wants to market to any audience and want to capture real brand loyalty, gaming and entertainment always has been there by all means. The future of entertainment, as Mike will tell us a little bit about, Noble as well, is definitely going to play a role. From gaming, you'd be crazy not to be looking at this space. The amount of opportunity, diversification, the audience reach, it's phenomenal. I mean, look at Decentraland and also Fortnite as well. MasterCard bought one of, I can't remember which game, so I'll fact check it and put it in the comments, but MasterCard went and actually purchased an advertisement in one of these games for next to nothing compared to what it normally would cost for them to get on television. And the audience that they captured in that short blip, because it's now something, it's a digital good, right? It's a virtual item that can sit there. So it's not necessarily finite in that sense. It can actually just live there. And you continually see that. I mean, look at Decentraland and the art shows and galleries they put on. Imagine branding being brought into that. I mean, as an advertiser, you should be looking at that, drooling that that's your opportunity, and you're calling it out perfectly, Pranay. Like this is it. And also from the education standpoint, you mentioned in India, you're seeing a lot of that shift of the younger generation wanting to go play. Some of the trends I've seen talking to teams in Southeast Asia and then also here in the US, they're focusing more on education and development, not just, and we see this with the traditional sports leagues that don't talk about it much, but it's not just about playing the sport. It's also about learning. It's also about education of other things as well, and skill sets. Whether it's learning about the game, focusing on mental and physical health, to then education of learning, new skills, learning how to run a business, how to be your own brand, how to not get taken advantage of in those situations, to learning another language. Those are real life skills, even short-term, long-term. Those could be hugely valuable at any age as well. So I'm with you is the point. And I saw you unmute, so feel free to, if you've got another comment to add.
No, so I was just to do with, holistic development of the sort of player ecosystem, right? In India, one of the inherent challenges that do exist is that the general education system isn't built for increasing the confidence of the average student. And I'm not saying like average as in like how good they are, but just like the general average student. And the idea here is that it's so important to provide the holistic development, because a lot of these guys don't have the ability to speak for themselves unless they're doing what they do best, which is potentially to them is behind their console, right? And they sort of lock up to a large extent when exposed to environments which they don't necessarily thrive in or they're not used to. And in India, at least I've personally seen that a lot more with a lot of newer professional gamers, versus maybe more developed gaming ecosystems in Southeast Asia. And so that's another hurdle, which is extremely important to sort of overcome from a mental barrier of a lot of these professional or semi-professional players in India.
Absolutely. And Mike, I want to come to you. We talked a lot about gaming and esports. I want to come back to entertainment. Entertainment has dramatically changed in the past 6 months and was already on that path, and I think will for the better in the next 12. But really, from your viewpoint, and I know you're focusing a lot on the diversification around entertainment, which is incredibly important, but what also are you seeing as kind of the current state of things and going forward around entertainment from your perspective?
So obviously, theatrical revenue is down significantly almost all over the world because of the pandemic, and people aren't going to movie theaters, very much at all. That being said, people still want to consume product, film and television. In the second quarter, Netflix increased their subscriber count by 15.8 million new subscribers in one quarter, which even for them is the greatest number they have ever seen. Also, they announced that the subscribers that they have are consuming products 60% faster than they were before. So when you've got that kind of stuff going on, it changes the revenue, certainly for a filmmaker. So if I have a film, I've now lost that theatrical revenue. And typically in a feature film revenue model, the theatrical revenue kind of pays the bills. Though marketing is very expensive for it. Typically marketing is more expensive than the production of a film. I worked on one big tentpole that was $208 million to produce, but $250 million to market. And so you're talking about a large amount of money. With that going away, then there's impact on advertisers. The cost of spots on television and radio and newspaper and all those sorts of things are down because entertainment sucks up so much of that, and they've gone to zero or close to zero for theatrical releases. That being said, the revenue for producers from a streaming perspective is typically much lower than it is for theatrical. Depends on the deal you cut. So people want to consume. if we do end up with a vaccine and or a cure, lots of people are saying the first quarter of next year, there's going to be a surge in people going back into the theaters. I believe that there's a big upturn now in Netflix and gaming and all that stuff. But as soon as the pandemic is over, people are tired of being at home. Even if you have a 100-inch screen and a THX surround sound in your house, you want to go out and interact with other humans and go out to restaurants and go to movie theaters and that sort of thing. So I think theaters are going to be absolutely packed as soon as this, people are able to do that sort of thing. So when I talk to filmmakers that come to me for financing and other sorts of things, I say, well, the forecast for your financials, which is one of the things that I provide, depends on when you want to release. If you're releasing next summer, I think things will be back to better than normal for theaters because people are just tired of it. It also changes the content because certain genres of films do better when you're with an audience. If you're sitting by yourself and you're watching a comedy, comedies don't do well when you're sitting by yourself because, like, was that a joke or was that not a joke? And then all of a sudden somebody laughs and the whole audience laughs.
Right.
And so it's
cue
a
the laugh track.
Yeah, well, and it's sort of hard to do that on a feature film, but and that sort of thing. So I think that's really interesting stuff that's going on, in the entertainment business. I think the other thing that's interesting is that entertainment as a whole, and at this particular time, we have to kind of exclude, physical sports like football or traditional sorts of things, but they're economically, they're not correlated to the general economy. So if it weren't a pandemic and it was a recession, just a plain recession by itself, typically revenue for film goes up in the middle of a recession, whereas lots of things, real estate and CPG and retail and stuff will go down because people are still wanting entertainment of some sort. This is a unique sort of situation, and we certainly haven't had a pandemic of this nature in the digital age. And so it's sort of a new type of a thing, but there's still lots of demand. And the number of hours watching feature films is actually up, even subtracting out all the amount of in theater viewing that has gone to zero in some sorts of places. So we're really, really excited about it. I think there's also a lot of movement to support women and minorities in various areas, including, feature films. And I think the Beckett Film Fund is nicely placed to do not only something that we think is, good for society, but also good financially. And I think that's going to be a real positive, that people are going to be more attuned to those sorts of things.
Do you see that shifting? So I know you're focused on film, and this might be a little bit of a curveball question, so I apologize, but do you see yourselves starting to focus as well into the gaming market with women and minority developers or writers as well? Because there is definitely an opportunity there. So curious if you guys have thought through that, if you've gone from looking at film and entertainment to maybe also looking at gaming as well. Just curious. Again, apologies if it's a curveball, but I thought it'd be a good question for you.
No, I spent a stint working at a major publisher for several years, so I understand that. What Beckett Film Fund is planning to do is build intellectual property. So if we can find a book or some intellectual property that exists, a graphic novel or something, we can make a film based on that. We're not opposed to moving into the gaming side of that as well, in leveraging the intellectual property, and I think that works nicely for us as well. It's not our first plan. The people that are on my board and myself, we have a lot more experience in the feature film world than we do in gaming, but certainly open to that sort of thing if it makes sense and we acquire the right property. But for us to start from zero, it's really expensive to build a game from scratch. Having worked at one of the biggest publishers, and the amount of money and time it takes is more than a feature film to build a big game. I worked on Call of Duty, a long time ago, and it was very expensive to, build it, maintain it, put out new versions and all that sort of thing. And so with the intellectual property already exists, at least the marketing portion of it, the cost of it declines. And that's, appealing to myself and my investors.
So to the audience, you know who to contact if you're looking to get into this. But second, Call of Duty is also one of the new up and coming and fastest rising franchises in esports right now. So to Mike's point, Mike worked on this. Mike knows it. He's validated it for us. Stay tuned. Noble, to you, kind of the last stage setting question is we're coming up to the lightning round here just in a little bit. We'll go through a few more questions on where the opportunities are and where we're seeing a few more things coming in the near future. But for you, quickly, where are you seeing kind of the current state of gaming? You're focused on AR. We haven't talked much about virtual reality, but I want to get to augmented reality as that's kind of initial step. I think VR was a little teased. We're still a ways off from that, but we're getting there. And with AR, it's a good in between. So where are you seeing things and how does AR play a role in all of this?
I think AR is significant. Pokemon Go just hit the $3.6 billion mark on a hyper casual game. And I think there's a lot of different conversations that are layered when we talk about gaming. People have hit on it bit by bit. There's hyper casual gaming, there's the eSports competitive gaming, and then there's the betting that happens. And all of them are billion-dollar industries right now. You had League of Legends had 100 million people watch it last year, which rivaled the Super Bowl. And you're right, people are getting product placements inside the game. Super cheap, MasterCard and the likes. Everyone's starting to realize that the eyeballs are there. Betting, because betting is quote unquote illegal, they use skins in all the esports betting. Well, it's a $7 billion industry swapping out and matching skins as the quote unquote preferred currency, to the point of where you have some esports groups banning their skin usage, and there's a need for blockchain there. But then you have what's called the hyper casual gamers. Actively daily, Pokemon Go has like 5 million people who use it, but on a monthly basis, 144 million people use it and don't even consider themselves really gamers. So the spot that we always sit in and where we like to invest is that hyper casual gaming space. And that's why we really liked how AR functions. You have Pokemon Go, which has done tremendously successful, has been kind of like the gold standard, and it's not even fully AR. But you have a lot of companies that fall along the spectrum that are doing just as well. Harry Potter iteration of the world building and gaming with AR. And I think a couple of panelists have said it. We don't know really where we're going to go with the pandemic, and entertainment is key. But the beauty of some of these AR games that allow you to travel your world and interact digitally and virtually with both your environment and digital characters kind of gives people that outlet that they need in order to not feel so cooped up globally. So for us, the AR component is really key, but I think it also has to intersect with IP. When I first invested in this company and I founded it, the game company WordPlay Games, the goal was to really get people to interact and utilize AR in a unique way. And as we brought on investors and we got validation from Kickstarter, people liked the idea of having their physical items have digital merchandise. And I think that's kind of where the intersection of AR, XR, virtual reality all plays, that people want to be able to interact with their real world and at the same time still feel like they're gamifying things. And so I think the AR component is not only phenomenal, but I think that it plays a key for what the future of gaming looks like. But in overall, this industry is a boom industry. It's like going to the gold mines back in the 1800s in California. If you find yourself in any one of the verticals, hyper casual, esports, blockchain, it is 100% where the eyeballs are. And I think the latest projection, one of the reports that we received, they said at some point there's going to be something like 243 million people at any given time over the next 5 years, say 2 to 5 years, that are going to be fully engaged in some form of esports watching, in addition to playing on a daily basis. And we've seen so many companies thrive on that. So we're 100% committed to this space, but I do believe IP is the key to make that successful. And so we also believe that you have to have something fun. That's why Angry Birds, it runs on multiple verticals. It starts off as a hyper casual game, and you end up with movies. And I think all this stuff starts to blend together, where it's not just the game and the movie and the cartoon. It's one big miasma of entertainment in which you're exploiting the eyeballs you receive. So I'm looking forward to the full Call of Duty feature films, because that's really the only next phase for Call of Duty to go, just as the additional commercial for the game.
Absolutely. So we're coming up to, thank you, Noble, and we're coming up to the lightning round, which means we've got 1 or 2 questions left before we wrap up here today. So I do want to come and Noble, just really tee this question up, and that's around where are the investments, where are the opportunities? You know, as investors, where can we start to look at to start placing bets? But as entrepreneurs, where should we be focusing our companies in the directions for growth and for market share as well? So Mike, I want to come to you as Noble has just painted this great picture around augmented reality and also IP. Coming to you in entertainment, where are you seeing the opportunities for investment in entertainment furthermore as well?
So in entertainment, I think feature films is not going away. There have been people predicting that for a long time. When television came in, everybody was really afraid nobody would ever go to the movie theater again. And so I think there are some people that are afraid of investing in feature films, but I think that it's certainly not dead. And I see it growing. There are a lot of people right now. Production has basically come to a screeching halt here in North America for feature films. There are countries around the world, like Australia just announced a $400 million fund to entice people to go down there and film where the pandemic is big. So there's a big demand. There are a lot of people out there with projects, feature film projects and television projects that are moving forward in the development side of it, getting everything ready so that once we can film in a not quite normal way, but at least film, that stuff is going to be out there. The production is going to start. I think there are going to be some big winners coming up. The numbers that I've seen, people are really gobbling up comedies and rom-coms and those sorts of genres, fantasy, because, there's not a lot of fun stuff to look at in the world right now. And to be able to escape your home and go someplace else and see something that you can laugh at or cry at or whatever, be really engaged with, I think it's going to be super important. Sports is the same way. Live sports obviously is a gigantic portion of the entertainment industry, and that's going to come back in a major way as well. So I think lots of opportunity there to invest in projects that have quality, that appeal to people in those sorts of genres, I think are the best bets right now. The theater chains are struggling. Obviously, they can't even be open. So I think there's some good buys there if someone wanted to purchase, a theater or invest in that sort of thing. Again, when at the bottom here, when things look the bleakest, is the time you buy, not sell. And so I think there's lots of upside potential for revenue in 2021.
And who doesn't love a good rom-com? I do. It's it's a good cheer upper, if you will, on a weeknight. And now on the fantasy allows you, like you said, to escape, which is playing back into that gaming aspect, as Noble had brought up with around AR. And Gary, I want to come to you as well. I mean, where are you seeing the opportunities quickly? As again, we're coming to the top of the hour. So where are you seeing the opportunities to begin investing in the space, whether it's gaming, AI, or entertainment?
I got to say, Warren Buffett said one thing quite some time ago. He said, when it rains gold, you want to put out buckets and not thimbles. And so each one of us here have to be ready with our buckets to go out. And so engagement, what we talked about, Kyle, in terms of engaging, developed a relationship. People talked about escapism. I mean, isn't that what movies, isn't that what entertainment is all about, to escape? I mean, and right now with the pandemic, the way it is today, it's about escape. But at the same time, we got to think about knowledge. how else could we acquire knowledge? What other kind of things could be done with the game from a marketing perspective? So I think those are great investment opportunities. And I think now is a unprecedented time. I mean, the thing is, these opportunities do not happen, in my lifetime ever, right? We've had downturns, but we've never had a situation where this really, and I go back to the digital transformation, this is another part of the transformation, because this is really about expanding the way that we interact with one another. So it's an unprecedented time. I say in terms of investment, look for companies that are on the edge. Don't be afraid. The market's up. Get into the market now before it, I don't see it stopping in the near term. From my perspective, we got a couple of years of this growth, and people are now, it's like bicycles, right? I went to the bike shop to get my bike repaired, and they were lined up for 3 weeks to repair bikes. There aren't bikes now, right? People have gone back because of entertainment to ride bikes again. So this is an opportunity in terms of entertainment. Invest in it, get involved in it, build your startup, and look for ones that are revenue generating, that are acquiring customers very quickly.
Absolutely. Pranav, same to you. Where are the opportunities to begin investing for the investors out there?
Honestly, if you're an investor today, I think if you're sitting on capital, I think it's a great time for you. I always take the Indian context, because the market is large enough yet sort of small enough for it to be self-sufficient. Where the opportunity, if you do have capital to deploy on general upskilling, and general upgrades on products that exist in the given market. And I'll actually draw a parallel to what Mike actually mentioned about theaters. So from a family office, we run a bunch of sporting facilities, offline facilities, sort of AstroTurf 5-on-5, 6-versus-6, football, cricket, sort of facilities like that. And over the last few months, I think one of the key things that we've done is look out for loads of other locations like that we're just looking to buy. And that simply comes down to a true belief in how the market is going to respond in 18 months time or 2 years time. Are people going to go out and play sport again, right? Is that going to affect the way our eSports investments work? Are those people that were driving the numbers for eSports going to change their habit once again and spend more of their time or sort of wallet allocation differently? But we truly believe in the sector of all gaming and sport in the Indian ecosystem, because I think what's going to distinguish each of them is the people behind it. We have a lot of ex-gamers building quality companies, and I think that's where some of the opportunities lie. There are some of the larger players in India who are actually doing pretty much the same, gobbling up smaller opportunities and smaller gaming companies that are doing just one thing. It's upskilling their team. The market and the user base isn't actually large enough for a single company within a portfolio to constantly double down and grow at the rate they want to grow. So for us, it was about portfolio management and complementing the value each organization brought to each other by bringing them under the same roof. So for us, I think that should sort of be the focus on how you can upskill your portfolio through platforms that help upskill.
I love it. Eduardo, to you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I mean, we definitely believe that probably one of the best.
Oh, we might have lost you for a second there. Oh, we actually lost Eduardo, but he'll come back as well. Patrick, I want to come to you. Where do you see the opportunities to invest in this spaces? You yourself are investing a little bit in this right now.
So in terms of investing, I think, where there's chaos, where there's blood in the streets, there's, plenty of opportunity. So I think what our strategy of the family office is, we're actually being very patient. I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities, not just in gaming, in entertainment or sports or whatever, but it's across the board. So we're looking at opportunities to buy a lot of companies, invest in the companies, probably end of the year and probably next year. I think there's going to be a major reshuffle of companies globally, and places where have been very hard hit, like for example in Europe. Obviously the States, there's still a lot of innovation in Silicon Valley and so on. But I think we will sit patiently and be opportunistic and pick what we want. just being a bit of devil's advocate out there in terms of entertainment. Entertainment will always be with us. People will always want to watch rom-coms or whatever. But the issue is right now, there's no shooting. You can't make a movie, even if Netflix, they're throwing billions of dollars into the industry. You can't shoot a movie. So they're looking for content. But the other side of the coin is that once, I think it was Mike saying it, that, you know, once the pandemic ends, which it will at some point, then people are so fed up with staying at home. They all want to go out to drink, to go to the restaurants, to socialize, you know, face to face. And the thing is, do they really want to go back to the cinema and watch movies? I'm sure people will want to watch movies, but people are going to be sick and tired of watching Netflix, entertainment, and so on. They want to actually meet people and do sports and be active and travel and so on. So I think entertainment will come back. The only thing I would want to add regarding the entertainment side is that it will take a bit of time to make the transition from now where shooting has been halted until when it gets back to sort of like a more normality stage. So there will be a blip, and as a result of this blip, I think investors will be put off of investing into movies, in my opinion. Esports is obviously a massive thing, and whether there is COVID or not, it's always growing every year. And obviously there's a big catalyst and a big offshoot, because as a result of people being at home, people are playing more of games. You have casual gamers, you have the big gamers, but generally as an industry, the whole macro level of esports is going up. In terms of how I look forward, in terms of how entertainment should be, it should be where it's more interactive, where technology is embraced together with entertainment. So there's more experiential kind of experiences where it's AI driven, where, for example, if I go to a museum, instead of just looking at, you know, the Muhammad Ali photos, his boxing gloves or whatever, we're looking at some companies where instead of just looking at the memorabilia, what we should be doing is that when we get into the room, you actually fight or you compete with a virtual Muhammad Ali to see how fast you are, can you take the punches and so on. So eventually it'll be an interactive way of the experience of entertainment that will be the future. And that's the kind of stuff that I think will be more interesting, and whether there will be COVID or not.
I think you bring up a great word we didn't get a chance to touch on. Unfortunately, today's episode is experiences and how this all plays into the future of those experiences. We touched on bits and pieces of it, but I think you really brought it full circle. So thank you, Patrick. And here we are at the top of the hour. I want to make sure everyone gets closing thoughts and where everyone can find you. So Patrick, let's finish off with you. So any additional closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you online? Quick closing thoughts and where's your URL if people can find you.
I think, you know, it's a difficult time for a lot of people, but, you know, COVID, coronavirus, especially for the younger people, it's not the end of the world. It's a learning curve. You know, it's the first time for all of us here. It's the biggest pandemic or black swan event that has actually truly affected everyone globally, even in North Korea. So it's a small blip. You'll get over it. You know, be positive, learn more, use the time wisely. You can find me on our website. It's tsangsgroup.com, TSANGS group.co. So drop me a line if you want to talk. And, you know, we are always welcome to look at investments. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mike, same to you. Very quick closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so I think what Patrick, I agree what Patrick was saying about the demand for product is going to go up. I think there is a lot of, you know, basically every studio, every streaming service, you know, every theater chain, they're going to be looking for product. And some companies, I think Netflix just raised $1.3 billion in debt to acquire and produce new product. So the demand is huge. If producers have good content, I think they're going to be in a catbird seat if they can get everything ready now and start actually producing the movie as soon as they're able to do so, that those films are going to be in huge demand, and they're going to be, I think, worldwide phenomenon hits. Movies, they're going to kick in, they're going to blow away box office, and revenue all over the place because the demand is going to be so big to interact with humans in a theater and not sit by themselves at home watching things. So I think it's the perfect time to invest in feature films right now when it's the gloomiest looking, because I think the upside is absolutely tremendous. And I think 2021 will be the biggest box office in the history of the world. And so
And
I think what's that?
Where can everyone find you online?
They can find me at BeckettFilmFund.com, and that's Beckett spelled with 1 T.
Wonderful. Eduardo, to you, quick closing thoughts. We're over time at this point, but where can everyone find you online as well?
Yeah, first of all, so sorry because my connection fell. And sorry to all the audience and to all the speakers. Definitely, you can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm very happy to have a discussion anytime anyone that wants on gaming, fundraising, venture capital, private equity, blockchain, fintech, on all that kind of topics.
Wonderful. Noble, to you, quick closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, easy to get a hold of me. I'm on LinkedIn.com. And we have Where Play Games, which is our primary kind of anchor company for AR gaming, and Dracone Capital Partners. Closing thoughts is that entertainment right now is going to be on a 10-year upward trajectory. We know that after or during recessions, post-recession events create a groundswell in entertainment along all the verticals. We're not even talking, we haven't even broached music and streaming and all the verticals entertainment-wise in order to mitigate people's doom and gloom are a requirement. So I believe whether it's feature films or films that are distributed right now has been the biggest event ever, that people directly in their homes are able to watch anything, anytime. And so content is key, no matter how it's distributed. And with cameras now being ubiquitous, AR being in the homes, and Amazon Alexa, and I think 160 million homes have Alexas and Echoes. There's going to be so many points of contact for entertainment that if you're in this space, all forms of gaming, you're winning. So we've doubled down our bets on gaming. We've increased our focus on IP, and I believe 100% across all verticals. As investors, we need to support the creatives right now so that we can kind of work symbiotically.
Absolutely. Gary.
Yeah, so this is an unprecedented time for companies to be efficient and effective. And so use your time wisely, get out there and get shit done, move forward. Just don't think about it and talk about it. Take some actions. You've got these environments just like we have today where you can get knowledge and make connections and get investments. And so it's unprecedented time. We want to have that human connection. We want to go out to the world. People need creativity and hope. You can do it. So you can reach me. We take resilient teams to IPOs. We raise money. We take operational roles in the company. It's GSD Venture Studios, Get Shit Done Venture Studios. And my name's Gary Fowler. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help you, happy to answer questions. Get it done, stay positive, and go for it. Thank you.
And AI is the new electricity, and I will share Gary's article.
Electricity.
And I will share Gary's article with the audience as well. And Pravon, close us out. Last closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you?
So anybody who's looking to build a product, I think the question you need to ask yourself right now is 18 months from now, if you were your consumer or you were a potential consumer of any product, of your own product, how would you react? Follow your gut, be patient, but well, like Gary constantly always puts it, get shit done. I think there's a lot of time for talking in the world of the pandemic today, but the time is more for action, because this opportunity, I mean, potentially in this lifetime, may or may not shine through the way it is right now. So yeah, I think just focus on product building, focus on driving your own narrative, and stay humble while doing it. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we're also on thinkubate.com. That's THINQBATE.com. Always happy to have a chat. Anyone looking to know more about the Indian ecosystem, seed investing, sort of early investing, and the tech scene. Always happy to be of any help that we can. And I'd love to invite all of you to India when the opportunity does arise, and we can hopefully grab a drink as well.
Wonderful. Can't wait to take you up on that invitation soon. But to all of you, thank you so very much for the time today, especially on a Partner Monday. Appreciate you spending a little bit more and going over today. To your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you don't believe gaming and entertainment are big opportunities, rewatch today's episode and reach out to every one of us, because we will re-emphasize that to each and every one of you. And just a quick fact check, I did figure the MasterCard advertising out. It was actually League of Legends, LOL. League of Legends, one of the biggest esports franchises in the world in terms of audience and engagement. MasterCard went to advertise in the latest summer series. So I fact checked that for everybody, and I will share the article as well. And thank you to Elena and to the entire LA Token team for allowing us to bring VCTV to you and to any screen that you may be watching us on. If you like today's content, click the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. We're all available 24/7 if you'd like to reach out to us. I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. If you're a startup, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Love to have you on our Startup Leaders Club, or the opportunity to pitch and share your ideas with us as investors. If you're an investor, we'd love to have you on here with this great panel and many others to share your insights and your thoughts on where things are going, from technology to regions to markets around the world. I'm Kyle